Hey everybody, it's Tommy Canale and welcome back to Before the Lights podcast, the show that tells you how they made their mark. He's been in the restaurant business for over 40 years, a food lover and third generation chef from New Jersey, the founder of Belevo and Edesia Oil Company. Please welcome to the show, Joe Calcagno. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tommy, thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Before we get into the products, I want to kind of bring my listeners up a little bit about your background. As a little boy, your grandmother introduced you to fresh Italian food in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. What type of places did your grandmother take you to that you can recall?
Well, back then, like my family's been in the restaurant business my whole life. When they came from Italy, my grandparents, my father, they were in the restaurant business. But the real like passion came like at a holiday. When there was a holiday, we just didn't go to the store and buy everything. My grandmother would do most of the shopping, and she would go to the chicken market to get the chicken. She would go to the pork store to get the pork. She would go to one bakery to get the bread, and then a pastry store to get the pastry, and a pasta place to get the raviolis, and just down the line. And I used to say as a kid, I didn't understand it. I would say, why don't we just go to the grocery store and get everything in one shot instead of driving all over Brooklyn? And she would say, God forbid, no. You can't do that. You can't do that. And it was kind of like, my family was kind of like a sport, like a passion, like who could put the best stuff out. It was like, just like, I really couldn't appreciate it when I was younger. And then as I got older, now I end up appreciating it. I find myself driving so far because this guy makes a great hot dog, and I find myself driving so far for this guy has the best pizza and a Philly steak sandwich. You'd be surprised the stuff you do. Like once you get you get a little bit of a sophisticated palate.
Was your family like what I remember growing up? Is we had traditional family Sunday dinners. Did you guys have them as well?
Yes, we still do it as of today. My kids love, Sunday dinner at my house. My wife, comes from the same background as I do. And we every Sunday, it's like a big thing,
I wish my family still did it. We keep talking about it, but we don't do it. We just reminisce about the old times. But Sunday dinners, I miss them. Simpler times.
Yeah. No, we love Sunday dinners. You wake up in the morning and the smell of sauce throughout the house. And when I was a kid, we'd go out on Saturday night. And Sunday morning, we're all hungover, and you just go downstairs, grab a loaf of bread, and start hitting the pot with sauce. And my mother would start screaming at me, "You can leave some for later." And as she's frying the meatballs, we're eating them as fast as before she could put them in the sauce, kind of thing.
Did you grow tomatoes and peppers and can them as well?
Yeah, we did. We had that. My backyard was like a farmer's market. We grew everything.
And then before we get into Belevo, Capizzi in Staten Island, a pizza place with wood-fired ovens, wine spot on 9th Avenue. It's a major hit in the New York City scene. Huge portion sizes, fresh pasta and desserts made in-house. I got to ask, though, what is in the Sicilian mac and cheese? Because as soon as I read that, I stopped reading.
That was on a Staten Island location, which I end up actually selling that. During COVID, we shut down. I never reopened. I owned the building. I sold it to another restaurant because I'm really focusing on the oil now. And I got the small place in the city. But the Sicilian mac and cheese is just the fusilli. And then we put in there a little taleggio, and we put a burrata in the middle of it. So in the center of it was like in a crock pot. In the center of it, we put a burrata and then some taleggio cheese and all different kinds of Italian cheeses, like a guancia formaggio. And then we sprinkle some breadcrumbs on it and toast it in the oven. And it really insane,
Your name is a small town in Sicily. Tell me more about this olive mill in Italy that you're familiar with that your family had.
Well, in Capizzi is a province of Messina in Italy, and I never even knew Capizzi. My grandparents and parents said we come from Enna. My father came from Enna, and my mother came from Messina. But realizing as I got older and I seen the postcards, it would say Capizzi. And I said, what's Capizzi? And they said, well, it's like we're from Brooklyn and we're from Bensonhurst. So we always tell people Brooklyn. So Capizzi is like a small neighborhood or town, a paese in Sicily. And so when I was a kid growing up, my grandparents did everything from scratch. And my mother too. We would dehydrate our own peppers, hot peppers. We'd grow them in the backyard and hang them in the boiler room. And when they were dried out and turned around, we crushed them, and that was our hot peppers. We grew eggplant all year, and we jarred it. We made like a jardiniere with it and stuff like that. And tomatoes, the same thing. They never bought anything. And when they had a pizzeria, back then, they had a pizzeria that was just pizza and soda. That was it. So I had a bunch of restaurants like the one on Staten Island that were full-service restaurants. And then I got an opportunity to get this little place in Manhattan in Hell's Kitchen. And my grandmother had passed away, and I had all of this stuff in her house. And I said, you know what? I can't throw it away. And my wife didn't want it in our house. It just didn't fit, And my grandmother had stuff from, even my wedding, my cousin's wedding. She has, the stirrers from my wedding that I got married, 40 years ago. So I built this little place in the city as just just to put all my grandmother's stuff. And I said, I'm going to open just a wood-burning pizzeria, old school, just the way my grandparents did it at home. Everything is fresh. Everything is homemade. We're going to buy nothing. We're just going to have pizza, a couple salads and desserts. And it really took off. We got movie stars going in there. It was on TV. It just really took off. And then I ended up converting my Staten Island restaurant, which was into a Capizzi too. And that's how it all started. But how I got into the olive oil business, years ago when I had the pizzeria, extra virgin olive oil is like the holy grail of oils. Mm-hmm. It's the only oil that and avocado oil is only fruit-based oils. It's a fruit. Mm-hmm. All other oils are seed oils. They all derive from a seed. There's a lot of high refining and stuff like that. But it has some faults because it has what's called a low smoke point. It burns very, very, very easily. And although it's very healthy for you, if you have it in its raw form, if you burn it in a low smoke point, that becomes unhealthy. It's carcinogenic when you burn oil. And in a pizzeria where you have a low price point, when you're in a casual dining operation, you're not a big fancy place in Manhattan where you're getting crazy numbers, you really can't use 100% extra virgin olive oil. Because you lose money. If somebody wants a little, a pizza and you want to put olive oil on it, you're gonna get killed. If garlic knots to be put olive oil, you sell 3 for $1. How could you possibly buy real extra virgin olive oil? So you're left with two basic options. You're left with losing money with extra virgin olive oil, or buying like soybean oil, canola, cheap stuff. And then there's a thing called counterfeited oil. And extra virgin olive oil is the #1 counterfeited food in the world. Mm. People make more money cutting extra virgin olive oil than they do selling cocaine.
Wow.
If you look at it, it's just a big problem. And when they do that, you're actually committing a crime, and they have to make a lot of money. So you got all these guys, they call it midnight oil. They're making this oil in garages and stuff. And what they're doing is they're putting harmful chemicals in it. Lampanta, which is not fit for human consumption. They use all kinds of seed oils, and then they color it green. And they use a thing called chlorophyll, which chlorophyll is actually healthy and natural for you in its natural state. The problem is it's not oil soluble. To make it oil soluble, they add heavy metals. And it's arsenic, 1% arsenic. And it's great for coloring paint, but it's terrible to put in your body. So there's a big thing of scam oil where they get this green oil and stuff. So I said, I got to come to a happy meeting. So I started playing around, blending oils and stuff like that. And on my trips to Italy all the time, buying tomatoes and stuff, I went to the oil mills and stuff like that. And I really educated myself on. I actually took a class on to be an olive oil sommelier. Yeah, I did all of that stuff. So I started making an oil, and I made this oil where it was a blend. It's mostly extra virgin olive oil. And I made it to be, in the beginning, I made it just to be price competitive. Okay. So I can make some money and still give my customers a healthy product. But in developing it, I found out that not only did it save me money, it actually outperforms extra virgin olive oil in many ways, because it has a higher smoke point. When you're roasting vegetables in a wood-burning oven, the extra virgin olive oil is just so hard to control. You really need super skilled labor. It's very difficult to get that. So when I'm roasting my vegetables, because we roast everything from portobello mushrooms, asparagus, we roast sausage, peppers, onions, Vidalia onions. We roast them all in the brick oven with just some sea salt, pepper, and oil. And if I put soybean oil or canola, it's just like putting grease on it, no flavor profile, nothing. And so I made this oil, and I didn't really have a name for it. And then I would put it on the table, and I'd tell people, try it. And nobody could believe that it wasn't 100% extra virgin olive oil, because it looks like it smells like it tastes like it. So that's where we got the name Belevo. You believe it's extra virgin oil, because EVOO is extra virgin oil. So believe it. So if I didn't tell you about it, you tasted it, it tastes like extra virgin olive oil. So little by little, I started selling to my friends in other restaurants that I have, all my other restaurant friends. I started making it for them and stuff like that. And then I started selling it to my distributors, my two restaurant distributors. And lo and behold, a few years later, I got a 30,000 square foot warehouse and was selling all kinds of oil. I got the oil bug. And now we're in like 15, 16 states. We're all over the place. And I sell all kinds of oil. I get all kinds of extra virgin olive oil in. And when my wife cooks at home, she wants Belevo, and she don't pay for oil. I could bring her anything she wants. I could bring her the best Italian, Greek oil. But, when she fries chicken cutlets, she wants Belevo. When she wants Belevo. That's how that product started.
I was at the Pizza Expo with my mother. We went by your booth, and we tasted it. And I heard the lady say that it was mixed with vegetable oil. And I said, no, not this. And she said, no, yeah, this is a natural blend between extra virgin olive oil and vegetable oil. I said, there's vegetable oil in this. And she said, yes. I said, I would never would have believed that. If you told me that, I never would even have guessed it. You cannot taste it, people. I'm telling you, Joe's not kidding when he tells you when you taste it, it is smooth. It's got a deep green color to it. It's got that bold olive taste to it. It's even got the consistency of like a thicker extra virgin olive oil, but it's got that blend of vegetable oil. How long did you play around to get this right where it's at now?
You know what? It was, I got it somewhere like it fairly decently quickly, but then to really perfect it, it took a while, because there's like 3,000 different cultivars of olives. Like, it's like wine. There's so many different grapes. There's so many olives. So the difference between us and other companies, oil companies, is most companies blend just for a percentage. Oh, this is 20% extra virgin. This is 10%. This is 50%. That's what they do. So what do? They go out and they buy the cheapest extra virgin olive oil they can get. Not that it's extra virgin, but they'll get it from Tunisia. They'll get it from here. They'll get it from there. And they'll blend it, and they'll meet their percentage, and they'll say, here you go. This is your 10%, your 20%. But what I do it from a cook standpoint, a chef standpoint, going back to my grandparents and my parents. When I asked my grandmother how you made something, she just say, undike this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Right. I said, what's a little bit? You'll know when it's right. You'll taste it. You'll know when it's right. There's no measurement. So what we do the same approach here, because it's a natural product. It's like a tomato. Sometimes you get a tomato, it's so flavorful. So sometimes you get it tastes like a potato. There's no different with olives. So we blend for a flavor profile. We use oil from Greece. We use oil from Spain. We use oil from Italy. So so we do that, and we do that so we get the color we want, and then we try to get a little fruity fragrance, and we try to get a little bit. So we try to balance it. So at the end of the day, we get the right product. If it takes a little bit more, sometimes extra virgin takes a little bit more. If it takes a little less, but we try to keep the flavor profile consistent. And, it's challenging at times. Sometimes a good crop, sometimes a bad crop, but we try to balance costs, because at the end of the day, food service business is half of it, Right. It's food, it's service, and it's business. And you have to be able to hit all those marks if you want to be successful.
Listeners, if you're familiar with extra virgin olive oil, or you're one of those people that have 3 different extra virgin olive oils, one for marinating, one for baking, one for frying, Belevo, you can use it to pan fry. You can bake with it. You can marinate. You can put it on top of your pizzas. You can use it in salad dressings. It's a best multi-purpose oil out there. Go to Belevo.com. That's Belevo.com. I'm going to put a link in the show notes. You can even get a free sample of it. And as you said, it's a solution for restaurants, Joe, but not just from a cost standpoint, but also from a performance standpoint. So you've kind of hit like the holy grail of home run with this oil.
Yeah. So like you know what? It's like, it just keeps. So I had a guy that owned a Santa Maria in Brooklyn. He said, listen, I have another problem with oil. I said, what's your problem? He said, when I make a seafood salad, he goes, I charge people $25 a pound, but I want to give them good oil. But if I put the extra virgin olive oil in it and I put it in the refrigerator, it gets like a lump of grease. And then when I put them in the dish and they put it in their car in the Mercedes and they got oil, they curse me out when I do it. But I don't want to give them soybean oil. What am I going to do? So we worked with it. We worked with it where we got it so it doesn't congeal as 100% extra virgin olive oil. So it outperforms there. And, you know, I'm not going to tell you or anybody that there is one olive oil or one oil that hits all the marks in a place, in a restaurant. You can't. You need multiple oils. But if you put a gun to my head and you say, listen, you only have to use one oil, pick one oil, the only oil you could use, it would be Belevo. And it's not because it's my product. Because Belevo, you could pour it out on a dish on a table like you tried it at the food show. People could use it, dip their bread in it. You put some salt, pepper in lieu of butter. You could pan fry with it. You can make like a linguine with garlic and oil. You could pan fry a chicken. You could use it as a finishing oil on like a Dover sole. You could fry a meatball in it. You could roast in it. You could do everything if you had. But extra virgin olive oil, you couldn't do that. And soybean oil and fryer oil, you couldn't do that. You couldn't put it on the table and you couldn't fry with it. So it is the best multi-purpose oil you could use. And you can give your customers and your family, like I eat my restaurant all day long. My kids come in there. My neighbors' kids come in there. I can't with a conscience give them something that I know is unhealthy or it's mislabeled. You know, if a kid comes into my restaurant and says, you know, hey, I got my little brother here and he's allergic to soybean. Is there any soybean in that? And some 18-year-old kid behind the counter gets the can and says, no, it says extra virgin. You're good. And the kid gets sick. You have to live with that. Mm-hmm. So what we put on the label in the can is on the can. We're an FDA registered facility. We do that. A lot of problems with these scam oils and stuff like that. When I go around, people say, oh, I buy this oil. I pay $40 a case. I say it's a scam oil. No, how do you know? I know by the price because you just can't buy extra virgin olive oil like that. It's like, you know, you're fooling yourself. It's like paying, you know, $14,000 for a car, but it has a Mercedes emblem on it. It's not a Mercedes.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way.
Joe, what did you discover when you started using this product as you were putting it together? Did you right away realize that it was outperforming extra virgin olive oil, or did you try it with so many different things and go, man, this is working with every way I try to use it?
Well, you know what? At first I said to myself, you know what? Let me just do side-by-side comparisons. And I put 2 trays in the oven of, let's say, portobello mushrooms, and I put them in there. And I'm watching them, and I see them smoking. You know, doing a grandma pizza. Like one of the another advantage is it has a milder flavor profile than extra virgin olive oil. And people in Italy, they appreciate that. Here, people in America, they don't like that burn in the back of their throat and stuff like that. They want the taste of olive. So if you're doing like a grandma pizza, or you're doing something that had like a caprese salad, just fresh buffalo mozzarella on a table, and you're pouring a really like aggressive olive oil on it, it takes from it. If you're getting a grandma pizza, like saying you're sprinkling some olive oil on top, if you're using Belevo, it has a nice mild flavor profile. It's not real greasy like if you're putting, you know, like soybean oil and stuff on that. So it does outperform it there. I noticed that. I noticed my customers telling me when I would give them comparison of real extra virgin and Capizi, they would say, Belevo, they would say, oh, I like this one better. It's sweeter. This one's more harsh. They don't understand. They don't know. And then I said, you know what? I'm a little biased. I invented the product. I did the product. I work with it. Let me get some honest opinions from my peers, other restaurateurs that I know. And I would give it to them. And I gave it to some famous chefs too. I said, what do you think? What do you think? And they loved it. They loved it. They said, it's great. Let me get some of this. Let me get some of this. And that's how I started. I didn't start where I was going to make something and sell it to a lot of people. I didn't do that. I just started making it for myself, showing it to my peers, said, what do you think about this? Other restaurants, my cousins in the business. And then I started selling to them. Then I wasn't going to drive around to trucks So I bought a little machine, a hand machine, and we canned two 2 cans at a time, and we put it in a pack, me and my son, and I sold it to my distributor. And before you know it, it just got, it just took off.
You said you're in 16 states and it continues to grow. Are you looking for distributors then to get it across the complete United States?
So when we did the show in Vegas, everybody that tasted it loved it and wanted to know where they can get it. Unfortunately, we don't have a distributor on the West Coast. We have distributors here that do the whole East Coast, from Florida to Maine. Nobody that goes on the West Coast. We have one distributor that wants to carry it on the West Coast, but what happened was when I first my distributor that's taking it now, one of my main distributors, when he first took it, he said, "I'll take it, but don't sell it to my competition." This guy. So I said, "You got my word. I won't sell to your competition." I was just happy. That was 10 years ago. And now that seems to be the only guy that wants to take it free across to the West Side, whether he wants to do it because he wants to get even with his competition. But I gave the guy my word, and sometimes, it hurts to do the right thing, but you got to do it anyhow. Yeah, this guy gave me a chance when I wasn't selling to anybody, so I'm going to respect what I told him.
Completely understand. Go to Belevo.com. I'm going to put a link in the show notes. You have to try this product. I'm telling you, once you try it, you'll believe, just as Joe is telling you. It is great stuff. Joe, anything else about the product you want my listeners to hear?
Now, it's not life-changing. People, when you tell them this, like, oh my God, they're expecting so much. It's oil. It's oil that's very good at a very good price. And you could beat it up in the kitchen. You could do what you want with it. You could try it. And if anybody out there ever buys a bottle or a can or a case, whatever you buy, and you don't like it for any reason, I'll give you your money back. I don't want people to be unhappy.
There you go.
We're a small company, and that's just the way we do things.
Joe, man, I appreciate some time coming on and talking about the product and the oil. And let's see if we can't help maybe find a different distributor to get it out this way into the Vegas area.
If we can do that, that'll be great. That'll be a big help.
You got it.
Great talking to you.
You too. Listeners, make sure you join the exclusive Before the Lights members group. Click the link in the show notes. It's only $7.99 a month, and it includes private Zoom calls with my former guest, one-of-a-kind poker chip, extra content, and more. It's your way to support the show. That's going to do it for this episode of Before the Lights. I'm Tommy Canale. And until next time, everybody, a salute, a chin chin.